is our program manager, Adriana Georgescu, that you can see here. Adriana is in Bucharest. I'm here in Vienna, and I apologize up front for our short little audio problems, but I hope that very much that you can hear me now and see me properly. Maybe just to try it out already now, if you cannot hear me, if you cannot see me, please write a quick comment into the chat function, and then we can see if everything works out or not.
Hello, everybody. Also from my side, we can hear you very well, Philip.
Thank you very much, Adriana. And I see some people are typing, Andre and Todor. Very good. Great. Thank you. Thanks for the comment. Again, thank you also for joining this session. As I said, as I introduced, this is the online information session. But of course, we only have limited time. There will only be so much information that we can share. But we also want to have, of course, the ability for you to ask questions, and that I can answer them and Adriana can answer them. If we do not have time anymore at the end, please feel free to contact us also and to ask your question, for example, via email or here in the chat function. Let me introduce to you the agenda. I might skip 2-3 points now, 2-3 slides in the next minute, simply because we lost a little bit of time due to our audio problems, but there shouldn't be a big issue. I will still focus on the most important aspects. We will go through very quickly a couple of points on overall the VU Executive Academy, then on the MBA in Bucharest, and some details regarding application, admission procedures, tuition and financing options, and then, as I said already, the Q&A. So let me introduce very quickly VU Executive Academy. VU Executive Academy is part of VU, Vienna University of Economics and Business, and we have 4 different, you could say, product or program areas. We have the undergraduate school with all our bachelor programs, the graduate school with the Master of Science programs, we have competence centers, and we have the VU Executive Academy, which focuses on MBA, Executive MBA, and of course also, specific company programs that we're delivering here. Now, of course, obviously, one of the most important points from the perspective of quality is that, we are very proud that we are quality accredited in the most important accreditation agencies worldwide. So AACSB, EQUIS, and AMBA, for example. We are, with these first 3 already among the 1% of all business schools worldwide who have all of these accreditations. So this is clearly a signal of quality. We also are ranked in different ways, for example, in the Financial Times and in the QS World University ranking as well. And which is maybe very important to you, we are ranked clearly #1 MBA program in Romania. But I will talk a little bit more about this because there's some specificities that which make this program very unique. In terms of faculty, I think one thing which is very, very important for us in general at VU, but also for the Executive MBA in Bucharest, is that we do not have only our professors from VU that are teaching. So I'm, for example, a professor of international business at VU. I'm also teaching the program, but we have a selection of top-notch professors worldwide that we are trying to get into the program. So here you see some of our professors that are not from VU, most of them that are teaching in the program. For example, Professor Abril from Spain. She's doing a great marketing course. Professor Boonstra, a Dutch professor who is at ESADE Business School in Spain, who is doing something on change management and leadership. Mr. Kwok, a Chinese-born professor from the University of South Carolina, one of the top-notch scholars worldwide in the area of advanced international finance, and so on and so forth. So very important, we have our top VU professors, but we also invite great professors from abroad to teach in the Executive MBA Bucharest. Now, I already introduced some elements here of the Executive MBA Bucharest. Let's get into some further details. So, what is this program all about? It is an Executive MBA program, which means that on average, our participants are a little bit more senior than in MBA programs. It is also a truly international program. We have most of the classes in Bucharest, but we also have 3 residencies abroad, 2 in Vienna and 1 in the US. We have a very dynamic peer group here of executives and top managers that we usually have in every cohort. We have a very flexible format of how we deliver the program. I will talk a bit more about this in a second. And we have heard great feedback from our participants, but also from the employers of our participants, as we are able to generate real value for the employers of our participants. For example, one of the final elements in this program is the MBA Capstone Project that represents kind of a master thesis, if you wish. And this is a real-life business project, and a lot of the students are choosing a capstone project, which is actually geared towards a very specific strategic problem in their firm. So thereby, because they will work based on supervision from faculty, they will work on this project, they will also generate value for their employer. And of course, after all, we're not only focusing on a couple of academic content, we are also focusing very much on academic skills, business leadership skills that we are trying to teach in this program, so that it enhances your skill base and is very valuable for your career later on. Here's just a couple of statistics. I will not repeat all of them, just a couple of highlights here, and I will use my little green arrow here. So one thing which is important is that this is a 16-month program. We have 14 modules in total, stretched over these 16 months, which means roughly we have 1 module per month. And in addition to this 1 module per month, we have a bit of a summer break in August usually, and a break somewhere around the Christmas time. So, you know, this we figured out that this is very valuable for our participants. 14 modules, 16 months, therefore is a very great rhythm. On average, our participants have 14 years of work experience, 7 years of leadership experience, meaning that they have some kind of a role where they're responsible for 1 to 3 people at least, roughly 36 years of age. We have a good mix of male-female candidates, although I have to say that obviously, you know, I would love to have more women in the program so that we are 50-50. We're not quite there yet, but relatively good. And as I said already, we have 2 places where we're teaching, 3 places, sorry. We have 2 here in Europe, Vienna and Bucharest, and 1 place in the US. A couple of more details here. I will skip this. You see this also online when you go to our brochure regarding, you know, from which kind of industries the people are coming from in our programs or which management level they have. One of the most important points, however, that I would like to stress is that beyond the fact that we have a couple of courses and specific teachers from abroad, we have great student and alumni services that are complementing the MBA program. So on the one hand, for example, we have what we are calling career services. Career services are a variety of services that help you in your future career. We have a great community of, by now, something like 4,500 alumni in total here, and approximately 400 executives in Romania specifically. When we actually count in people from Romania or the people that live in Romania from other programs, not only from the Executive MBA in Romania, then we have more than 500 people currently in Romania, which is a great community. It's one of our strongest communities abroad outside of Austria. And then, of course, we have a lot of content elements, some of which are online these days, of course, more online than before, where we have guest speakers or specific workshops and panel discussions that will take place, and that you can, as a member of the EU Executive Academy, that you can attend at any time. Here is just a little glimpse. This is a bit small and there's lots of detail on this slide. This is just to show to you that we have a platform called WU EA Connect, or Vienna University of Economics and Business, the Executive Academy Connect system. It is essentially a LinkedIn kind of system where you can search for people for alumni. You can find mentors, you can find business contacts, you can find upcoming events, and so on and so forth. Again, this has been very, very valuable for our participants and our alumni, and we see lots of activity on this platform. Let me now introduce a little bit more in detail how our modules look. So in essence, we have a three-tier structure. We have a pre-module. I'm sorry, I have to cough a little bit. 1 second. So we have a pre-module. A pre-module is usually about 2 weeks long before the module starts. And it is catered towards preparing you in detail for the topic. There might be some e-learning involved. There might be some, reading of book chapters involved and so on. Then, second tier, we have the core module itself. As I said, most of the time in Bucharest, 4 days long, usually Thursday to Sunday, 4 days, or 5 days in the case of international residencies in the US or in Vienna. And this is the core module is really in class time, presence time, synchronous time, and then third we have the post module with again kind of an e-learning or project or an examination phase, which again is something like 2 weeks long. So you see here in total we have a 2 week plus 1 week plus 2 weeks, roughly 5 weeks long structure for one particular module out of 14 modules, and that allows you to, very well prepare a module, profit from the module time itself. It also limits the time that you're away from your job, which makes it very flexible and very much, it enables you to combine the Executive MBA with your job. And it has this post-module phase where you can apply your newly gained knowledge and work on some projects and so on. Yeah. This is the general setup. Most of the time it works like this, maybe except for 1-2 residencies where the schedule might look slightly differently. Here you can see our overall schedule with the different courses and with the different professors that we have. This is also available online in our brochure. Adriana is in this very moment posting the link to our brochure and the schedule also online here in the chat function. We will start out in the next cohort with a general strategy class that will be taught by me. This is very useful at the very beginning because, I will set the scene. I will also introduce you to the overall program dynamics, things that you need to look out for, things that you need to prepare. And I will explain to you the overall logic of the entire program and connect you not only to strategy topics, but then also to topics on the macro level, economics topics on the micro level, functional topics, but also then on the level of individual skills that are, as I already said, very, very important here. And I might highlight, for example, skills such as negotiation, conflict management skills down there. It's one of the last elements that we have here in the program, or leadership skills where we train the people very much hands-on on very concrete skills and capabilities. I don't go further into details. As I said, you can look it up. The dark blue ones here, as compared to the light blue ones, are the residencies. So for example, here in November, as I said, we start in Vienna with a strategy class. We have in July our residency in the US, in New York City, with the great professor Ravi Babna, world-leading professor in the area of business analytics, and the final residency also then here in Vienna, which is change management. Change management also here in this final residency. There will be company visits, and there will be the presentation of your final entrepreneurial capstone projects that I already mentioned, which you could say are your master thesis projects and are very hands-on cool projects that you can present at the very end. These are our 2 residencies. This is fine. So let's go into further details. If you have questions, of course, regarding the program, regarding individual classes, we can look at those questions later on. Maybe I add one piece here that I forgot, and that is this is a general business MBA, all right? Which means automatically that this is not specialized to very specific certain areas, such as only finance, only innovation, so on. It's a general MBA, which works very, very well with our participants, because the more you're coming up to real, true senior leadership positions, which is this program meant for, the more you're faced with the entire range of activities of a firm, with the business context of the firm, and therefore, we decided, yes, innovation is important, yes, operations or marketing and so on is important, but we need to have the entire range of activities, and it fits also very well into the Capstone project, where this range of activities is actually in the end needed in order to deliver a good project. Good. So as I said, let's look into the application and admission procedure. I do not go a lot into the details. A lot of this can be easily read up online. We have a couple of baseline requirements. Again, here Adriana is posting at the same time the admission application link here on the chat. We have, for example, the requirement that we need to have an undergraduate degree of some sort. While I'm saying this, however, please note that there might be exceptions to this rule. So, for example, if you are an entrepreneur and you have started your business at the age of 16 and now you're the CEO of a 200 people, 300 people firm or more, very successful, lots of leadership experience, then we might make an exception and we might allow you into the program, despite the fact that maybe for some reason you have not finished your undergraduate degree. What else are we looking for? Of course, there must be some proficiency in written English and spoken English, because this is the language of our program. You will do a personal admission interview with me online, and you will also talk to Adriana Georgescu, our program manager. What are we looking for? We are looking for a solid career progression, some leadership skills, leadership experience, an ability, of course, to commit to this program. And this program is challenging in multiple ways. It is challenging from a time perspective, from a resource perspective, in a sense that you need to commit resources to go through these courses and learn. It also means that you need to commit to your team, because the learning will always take place not only for you personally, individually, but the learning will specifically thrive and take place in a group setting. You learn not only from the professors and from books and so on, you will learn a lot from your peers, from the other participants in the program, and that's why we need your commitment. Therefore, also, for this reason, we need interpersonal communication skills from you, because if you cannot communicate well with your peer participants, then this learning will be hampered. So in the essence, what we are asking for is, would you be a good addition to the program, so that that the others can learn from you, and not only you from the others. There's a standard sequence of the type of information that we need. First, general information, background of education, career, and then you need to confirm and finish your application. This is straightforward. I will skip this for the moment. There's quite a number of documents that are unfortunately necessary also to submit. This is necessary because, after all, you have to imagine that the Executive MBA Bucharest program, this is an official university degree governed by Austrian university laws, and this requires that we have a couple of formal steps here that we are following up on here, and that we have a number of documents ready for us that we can check, such as, for example, official diploma from university, and a photograph and a passport copy, and so on and so forth. I will talk more about this in a second. We will have you will have the opportunity of some scholarships also. In case of you wanting to apply for a scholarship, you will need to have also a proof of salary that you provide to us, and relevant documentation of specific circumstances that enables us to judge on if you're eligible for the scholarship. But as I said, I will talk a bit more about the scholarships in a second. We will have an online admission interview. I mentioned this already. This will be with me. It will take some time, roughly between 30 minutes and 1 hour. Sometimes it goes a bit faster, sometimes a bit slower. What we're doing is here broad discussion, straightforward, me checking up on who you are, what's your background, would you be a good addition to the program, and of course we have time to check up on all kinds of questions that you might have regarding the program, regarding the sequence, regarding your doubts, regarding your resources that you need to commit, and so on. We have time for that as well, and then afterwards, jointly with program management, we will make the decision to allow you into the program or not. This is here step number 4, the admission decision. You get admitted or the admission gets denied by you. We might also have sometimes here and there a wait list where we say, our program is full. Our program actually is very, very important for us. Our program, this is a relatively small program, and this is valuable because when you have a relatively small program, there will be lots of interaction, not only between yourself, but also between you and the individual professors. We have a program which is usually somewhere between 25 and 30 participants, and at the moment we do not intend to grow this a lot, because then our model of interaction and of very intensive learning will not work out. In case we get a lot of more people, so therefore we might waitlist you here and there. We might also have a category where we say, there's future potential, meaning that, for example, we have a 27-year-old, up-and-coming financial analyst, and after the discussion, we clearly judge this is a great manager, but is lacking at the moment still, a bit of managerial experience, a bit of top management experience potentially, but there's very clearly, there will very clearly be the green light from us if the person would reapply in a year or 2 or 3, and then we would put you on hold kind of and ask you to apply, maybe not only again, but tell you can join the program in 1 or 2 or 3 years. Good. Some information about tuition and financing. Our overall tuition fee is 35,000 euros, and this covers instruction material, teaching material of all sorts, online or not online, the registration fees, and very important, lots of refreshments and coffee breaks, and also lunches in Bucharest. We are, by the way, all our teaching in Bucharest will take place in the Radisson Blu Hotel in the city center. Very, very nice location, where we have good facilities also in terms of breakout space and so on. So this is very valuable. Let me also maybe highlight here that because 35,000 euros obviously it's not a very small sum of money, but let me highlight here that I recommend you to compare the value of our program and what we deliver to potentially other programs that are out there. Right? So from my perspective, but of course, I'm slightly biased here. From my perspective, this program with these kind of professors that we have is a top-notch executive MBA program. We have professors in our program that also teach in other executive MBA programs abroad, most of them being much, much more expensive than our program. So from my perspective, you get here a top-notch program at a very, very reasonable price. Furthermore, as I said, there's lots of scholarship opportunities that we are offering, not only in Bucharest, but also here, scholarships from the EU. For example, just to highlight one, which is really a great one, because this also is fully in line with our goals to have a bit more balanced participant structure. We have scholarships available for female leaders that are merit and need-based, and there's a deadline coming up relatively soon on June 30, so you might be able to apply to this one. There are, however, also more scholarships available. Adriana was just posting on the chat, for example, an early bird bonus or an early bird scholarship There's additional scholarships available, for example, for entrepreneurs specifically that have and run their own business. There's also additional opportunities of how you could finance the MBA. Let me just highlight quickly some points here. So, for example, point number one that might be quite important is educational loans. It depends a bit on your history, with the bank and so on, but there's the opportunity to get educational loans at very, very great rates. There are also some opportunities for external funding, external scholarships, for example, the Fund of Excellence, for example, by Erste Bank. There's scholarships were available also for people that are employed by foreign firms but that work in Romania. So just as an example, if you're working for, I'm just inventing now, for Siemens, but you're working for Siemens Romania, there might be German scholarships available specifically for people that work in German firms abroad. You will find a lot more information online here in this on this link, Executive Academy IT financing. I will also go a little bit further into detail that there's options for payment by installments, so you do not have to worry that you have to pay the entire tuition fee at once. And of course, finally, there's also a lot of information here that I will give you in a second regarding employer sponsorship, because it is also very clearly a regular model that we have in our programs. The way how the scholarships, by the way, would work is that we would have a committee that evaluates your application and jointly makes a decision, and we will look at the admission interview itself that you had. We would look at your past achievements, your potential contribution to peer learning, what I mentioned already, your importance to the learning of all program participants, and your financial needs, which you need to document somehow. So here, this is the slide with the payment by installments. You have different types of options. You can pay it once, you can pay in 2 installments, 3 installments, 5 installments, and so on. So there's a number of different options. Let me highlight here one specific point, which in the past has proven to be very attractive to lots of the participants. Here is this option with 3 installments, because the nice thing is, we start our program in November, and it goes therefore from November year 1, the entire year 2, until, somewhere March the year 3. And having 3 installments means we have, in your case, if you were to start in November 2020, we would have 1 installment in 2020, 1 in 2021, and 1 in 2022. All right, so this is great because you have 3 fiscal years that are for which the installment payments for the tuition fees become relevant, and this might have therefore implications on how you do this with your tax, or how you approach your employer in case you want to involve your employer in the financing of the MBA. Why should the employer potentially support you? As I said, this is very much a model in the Executive MBA Romania, because we have lots of firms that have said that this is very valuable to them. One of the things which is very important is, as I said already, that we generate value for your company in the form, for example, of the master thesis, the Capstone Projects, but also much more, because you can often directly apply learnings from individual modules into your job, into your business, because there's very practical content. This is also very important here to notice our courses. This is not a Master of Science program in a sense that we're looking, for you to become excellent scientists. This is not the case. This is a practical MBA program. The key goal for every single module is that, there's important, relevant theoretical insight, but in the end, there must be very good, important practical insight as well. Leadership development, very clearly, a lot of our participants after the program say, they've made a leap forward in terms of how they think about themselves, what their abilities are, how confident they are. we are very, very confident that we have aligned our learning outcomes in the program and the individual modules with the company needs of most of the firms of our participants. And in the end, I also mentioned this is a very flexible program. You've seen this. We have this pre-module, post-module, core module structure. We have lots of time in between where you can work on the Executive MBA and the content and the projects and so on, but you're not away from your job. You can combine this with your job in a very, very good way. How can your employer support you? Well, on the one hand, there might be these, these splits regarding different installments. For example, we have a lot of employers that are supporting our participants with reduced working hours because obviously, the core modules in Bucharest run from Thursday to Sunday, so at least a Thursday and Friday once every month or so needs to be. You need to take this off from work. There's also options with salary sacrifice models or total program free reimbursements. We also have this, and we also regularly see that some firms are contributing towards financing the MBA by financing, for example, individual travels or accommodation costs, for example, when you have the residency in the US or here in Vienna. Just here a couple of statistics from the last years, very important from my perspective. Here's with lots of positive career steps from our participants. Very quickly, when they went for our MBA, over 75%. We have salary increases. We also regularly have people that founded their own company during or after the Executive MBA. In terms of which kind of people are in our program, the most common career developments that we have here is that a lot of them have additional responsibility and, as I said, higher earnings. So this overall shows to us also, this gives us a sign of confirmation that we have a very good program in place which has a great impact on the careers of our participants. Here, very important, social network and networking is the number 1 and 2 most valuable career services. And as I said here, our program, the Executive MBA in Bucharest, is a very, very specific program in the sense that, all MBA programs worldwide will tell you that the peer learning is very important. And the local network of where the people are is very important. I said when I told you the same. The difference here is that we have in Bucharest an internationally oriented program, but still the predominant group of participants by far are Romanians. So we are able to combine an international global program with international top faculty and international top-notch topics with a very clear and coherent, strong local alumni structure and local participant structure, which still, however, does not deny you from having access to the global alumni structure of the U. And this is very, very unique and very valuable. You do not find this in many other programs. Of course, obviously, you could choose to go for an Executive MBA program at another place. For example, I'm just inventing something here, London School of Economics, or INSEAD in Paris. And besides the fact, however, that you will have to pay more than 3 times the sum of the price of this program, you will have a network after all, which is very, very internationally dispersed with people that, if you choose to stay in Romania as your prime base for a living and for your business life, you will not have much contact to them anymore later on, or at the very least, I can say you will also only have loose contact to those people from abroad. This is very different in Romania. You have a very strong local network, and we have friendships and business relationships emerging from the MBA program in Romania, in our different hubs in Bucharest, but also in other Romanian cities. Good. That's it from my side. Roughly a very short overview about a couple of key points in the program. As I said already, you can post your questions now here into the chat, or you can write us an email. The most direct contact here, we provide it here on this slide, is Adriana Georgescu, who's also online right now, also with a video. And you can ask some more questions now or to her then later on via email. Thank you very much. All right. Ready then for answering your questions.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the input. Thank you very much for your input, Professor Nell. And I'd like to welcome our participants now to actually ask. Usually we have a few questions coming in, and yes, I've received a question through chat. Adriana, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, but it's a little bit noisy.
Okay. Well, let's try to keep going, and you let me know if you cannot understand a question. One thing that often comes up is how come if the minimum of work experience is about 5 years, how come students only join when they have on average 14 years of work experience? Professor Nell?
Should I answer, or Philip?
Sorry?
Will you answer or should I answer?
I haven't, who has asked?
Okay, so I will answer because Anna asked, but I guess you don't have the speakers on. So we are asking for 5 years of leading experience, not overall working experience. And this is why the average age is about 36 years old.
Yes, and that's very important for us, right? Just 5 years of work experience after your bachelor degree, if you're 26 years old or something, this is, this is not the level of seniority that we have in our program usually.
Okay. And are the students in generally general manager, specialist, general?
Yeah, your microphone, Anna, is not really working.
So I see that Tudor Vojna is typing. Thank you. Let me, in the meantime, before the question kicks in, restate the importance of the scholarships. There's lots of different ones. If you click, for example, on some of the links that Adriana Georgescu has just posted regarding these scholarships, I can tell you that there's lots of people. The majority of our participants do profit from some kind of financing options and of scholarships. So that substantially reduces the amount that you might have to pay out of pocket. So now there is a question from Tudor Vojna. Thank you so much. You're welcome. It was very useful. Insight was very helpful and nice. So thank you very much. There's no question. It's just a positive note. Thank you.
Thank you, Tudor.
Yes, thank you very much. And are many of the participants general managers, or are they rather specialists in a certain field like marketing or finance to become a general manager?
Okay, I think your microphone has some issues, but I got the question. Actually, on the schedule on the page 2, you'll see the student profile, and we'll have there also the job function. We have a lot of people from marketing and sales, general management, IT, finance, strategy, operations manager. So we're trying to have a very diverse class with people from all over from all the fields. We're not trying to have a class of only finance people or only general managers. It's important for us to have a very good diversity.
Yes.
I can also share that at the beginning of the program, we are dividing the classes in smaller teams of 4 or 5 people. Each team has one person specialized in finance, one in general management or strategy, somebody in marketing and sales. And this small company will work like a small, this small team will work like a small company. They will have from different fields. They will have people from different fields. And as the pre-module and the post-module, the majority of them are team assignments when we'll have a financial module. Somebody from the financial field will be also able to share and show the peers how they should solve that problem. And this is why it's important for us, the quality of the students, and everybody should be able to share their experience and bring an added value to the class, not only learning from the professors, but also learning from their own experience.
From their peers. Mm-hmm. What would be your backup plan in case of a second COVID-19 outbreak later in the year with restrictions on travel accommodation? Very good question. We are of course faced with this situation, and we were just faced with it, right now. I can tell you how it worked. I mean, we had a number of sessions now in the phase roughly between February and August, and we were hit, very suddenly, like all the businesses, like all the different professions. We managed very well with a combination of, on the one hand, postponing one specific course element a bit towards a later stage, plus in combination we had lots of online teaching where we tried to avoid the in-class presence, which worked very well. Again, here we are profiting from the deep experience of our professors and our international professors. For example, we just had the strategic marketing course, and the professor from Spain, she's very used to senior manager trainings, doing this online. So now I think for the second wave, if it is coming, we are much more prepared even than before. We will move some of our content online, and we will probably move some of the content to a later stage in the program. We have some flexibility here, and this will be our approach.
And if I may also add, we also will offer the students the possibility of coming next year and attend in the class the modules that we offered online, in case they feel that they didn't have the same interaction with the professor on the online as it would be face-to-face. So
yes. This is a very good good point, Adriana. This is a very important point. We wanted to be fair to our participants, and we really made it clear that we will have now, for example, this online marketing class instead of a face-to-face class. By the way, I mean, we have the 3-tier structure. The pre-module and the post-module is online and via distance anyway, right? So this doesn't change. It's just the core module itself, the 4 days that change. But we made it very clear that if the participants are unhappy, they can take the class again in the following year. And I think this is a very fair answer and a very fair response to this crisis. I think you get a nicer offer here than what you would get from most of other types of firms, from airlines and whatever. Sebastian, so thank you very much for presenting. I have a question. Can you give us an example of a leadership skill that a student could develop in the MBA, a skill that would have been vital for a COVID effective business? Oh, this is a very, very good question. Personally, I'm not a leadership expert, but we have two classes, at least two classes on this, which are, well, I would say three classes now that I think about it. Three classes that are very important here. One of the things is we have Mr. Professor Günther Stahl, who is a global leadership expert, where one leadership skill definitely is, how to deal with uncertainty, right? And how this translates into different activities regarding your personnel. Another class that we have is the module by Professor Lafond, where we have negotiation and conflict skills, because you can imagine in the moment where we have a COVID-19 situation, we also had this here at the U, by the way, of course, where, some elements of the business are heavily affected, some elements of the business are not that much affected. Budgets are, under suppression, and we might be faced with a situation of having to fire 1-2 people or here or so. Right? In this moment, there's anxiety kicking in, there's conflicts kicking in, so therefore also conflict management skills, for example, are very, very important. And third, if I may add, there is a course by Mr. Boonstra, a great professor in the area of change management, and he really goes into the details regarding your change profiles, your personality as well. A lot of firms these days, when they are talking about, the crisis, a lot of firms try to look at this crisis not only in terms of, problems and how they can be solved, but also in terms of emerging opportunities and using this crisis to change the entire firm. So I think overall change management skills would also fit in here. So this is, top of my mind right now, input from the program regarding leadership skills. But of course, if you're more interested, I can actually put you in contact if you want to with our leadership professors and, get more insights on this if you want to.
And if I may jump in right here, we also are having on Monday a test MBA class on COVID-19's impact on international strategy, and this is going to be also an opportunity for you, dear listeners, to come back to our webinar platform and hear a lot about international strategy, how COVID-19 might be affecting your business strategy, and who will be teaching nonetheless other than Professor Phillip Nell. So come on out. It's going to be at 7 p.m. your time.
Yes, thank you, Anna. I had forgotten mentioning this, but there is also the link by Adriana. I think, Anna, you're still very loud now on the. We have here also on the slide. It's just a little teaser class. It's not necessarily a leadership skill. It's more, overall strategic thinking regarding globalization and how COVID-19 might impact your, international business strategy. A short little discussion that we might have. And this is to showcase also how our teaching works out, because what is very important in the MBAs, we have very, very interactive teaching. Lots of interaction between the participants and the professor. There's not much of a kind of simple top-down lecturing that you might have experienced, unfortunately, in the past, somewhere in your bachelor program or so on. Very interactive, and that's what we also try to achieve in all our different programs, and hopefully you can see this also next Monday.
Exactly. It's a free webinar, so you need to register on our website, and I give you the link in the chat.
Yes, and another question that often comes up at previous webinars is often the question of, are the learning materials, the things that I really get in each class, are they going to be readily applicable to my job, or is it all just more or less a theory sort of structure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Anna. As I mentioned already, this is, for us, it's very important that the material that we're teaching, the content that we're teaching, that this is very, very applied. right? There is, of course, an important academic backbone to it, but the focus is definitely on the application. Now, if you profit from every single course element in the same way, of course, differs across our participants. It depends on your particular job situation. You might be a great marketing person and profit potentially a little bit less on from a finance class and so on. But nevertheless, overall, as I mentioned also, the breadth of our program, the fact that we cover the essentials of business, overall, this is very, very valuable because it is also practice oriented.
And there is a capstone presentation at the end. Who decides the topic of the project?
Oh, also good question. So I said earlier, this capstone project is kind of your master thesis project. So you will choose what to work on. You can choose, for example, to work on a new startup idea, on an entrepreneurial project. You can also choose to work for your firm and to solve a specific strategic problem. I don't know if Adriana has this available, but we just had our graduation from the last cohort in May, and we had a couple of press articles being written about those projects. So, for example, in Sierul Financiar and in Prof and in Wall Street Journal Romania, there were articles about our participants and their capstone projects. You might find some information there because, as I said, some do focus on a project within the context of their firm, which is very, very valuable. One important point here as well, most of those projects are not single projects, these are team projects, right? So in teams of approximately 3 people, you would work on this project, and also this aspect is really nice and valuable and gives you additional insight. Exactly, yeah, so Adriana is just posting here, for example, 1-2 articles from Wall Street Journal Romania or Sierul Financiar. And Profit, yes.
Wonderful. Well, we have another question or a comment coming in from Tudor Vaina, and we'll wait for this to be finished typing. And in the meantime, let's break it down in a nutshell. The program is 16 months, and the question is basically if there's perhaps an extraordinary event where a person is not able to attend a class, what's the procedure in this situation?
Yes, very good question. And of course, Tudor, of course, this happens, right? There's all kinds of things that can happen. We have clear procedures here in this regard. Different options that we can pursue. One option is that you might be able to take this course in another MBA program at another point in time. So just to give you an example, let's say we have a 4-day accounting class, and you might be able to take a 4-day accounting class in another MBA program, for example, in Vienna instead of Bucharest 3 weeks later or 2 months later or whatever. This is one option. Another option is that you simply say, okay, I wait for 1 year and I take this class again next year in the next cohort. There might be some additional rules attached, such as that you might have to pay additional little fee of 400 euro, I think, if I remember well. Adriana can give us more information here. But the key point, the key message is no problem. We always find a solution. We have this under control. It's not really an issue. If this happens, and of course it does happen from time to time.
Great question.
Yes, and I can add, if you from the 4th day you are missing only 1 day, for example, you have an event or an important meeting, the professor will probably give you an extra assignment to make up for the missing day. Also, in our general terms and conditions, it's written you have 5 years to graduate the program from the moment when you started. It's not something that we want, but it's possible you get a job for 1 year in Singapore, and it will be hard to commute, and you don't want to lose the opportunity. So you will not lose the money that you already pay for VU. You can still freeze your year and come back and do it.
Great to know that there's flexible options out there for busy managers. And in terms of busy managers who have a busy schedule, the program is around 16 months. How many days are on Thursdays and Fridays where some people would then have to take off work? Is there a rough number here?
Well, we have, sorry, we have 14 modules. So we have 14 times Thursdays and Fridays in there. But please take into account also that our residencies in the US and in Vienna, the final residency is a Monday to Friday residency. So that we have two times 5 days that you would need to take off from your job, which is 10 days plus 12 times 2 days, 24. So we have 34 days.
34.
Okay,
again,
that's always good to know. But over 2 calendar years, yes.
Yes, well, it's
Yeah.
3 calendar years. So it would be 2020, 2021, and 2022, where we would need these, where you would need the time off.
And could you describe how much time it usually takes for a student to learn the material of each module that's basically a 4-day module? How much time is used before the module and after the module?
Yes, this is a good question, Andre. It's a bit difficult to respond to because it very much depends on the course and the individual participant. Yeah, just to give you an example, we might have, for example, in the program right now, we have, a senior financial accountant who was a partner in a large accounting firm. And obviously, if we go into the accounting class and financial analytics class, I mean, this is relatively easy for her, so she uses much less time than the others. We also had a lawyer in there who took double the time than the average for the finance and accounting, but it was also very worthwhile and very relevant. So it's very difficult to say. It depends a bit on you, and it depends a bit on the individual module. I would say roughly on average, right, in this 2-week period, if you have, like 3 full days in these 2 weeks, that would be roughly okay.
Yeah, I can say from the feedback, because for each module we have feedback from the students, and the feedback is like 18 to 20 hours before the module and 18 and 20 hours after the module. So those 18, 20 hours will be in 2 weeks. So depends. Now somebody can allocate 1.5 hours every day, or they can sacrifice a week.
Thank you, Mihaela, for joining us.
Yes, and
for any questions, yeah, you have my email address, so I'll be happy to answer you. Or you also have my cell phone, my Romanian cell phone, and I'll be happy to talk to you and arrange a call meeting anytime you need clarification.
Wonderful. Well, I would like to say thank you as well from part of the VU Executive Academies on our behalf. For the listeners, we have enjoyed your active questions, and we hope to hear from you very soon. And thanks as well to Lawrence Dietersdorfer in the background for our smooth IT support, and as well as to, of course, our 2 speakers, Adriana and Professor Phillip Nell.
Thank you, Anna, for facilitating this meeting. Thanks for the participants. I repeat also from my perspective, if you want to get access to me, no problem at all. You can write an email either directly to Adriana, she can forward this, or to me. You find my email also on the webpage, or I will type it in here now immediately. Phillip Nell or pnell@vu.ac.at. So I'm looking forward to some more questions if you have some. And otherwise, thank you for participating, and perhaps, see you soon in an admission interview. I would look forward to this, and maybe perhaps even see you soon in November here in Vienna at the program start with a great strategy module. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.